inside Thursday night. How's it going? Alright, strip back, good crack, multi-trade podcast. Share the knowledge you know, help to make our sector grow. Everybody's learning from experts and the journeymen. Insights.
Welcome, Season 4, Episode 10. I'm Stephen Buckley.
And I'm Keith Delahan.
And this is Insight, the Stripped Back podcast, sponsored by Robust Lighting, the world's leading LED lighting company.
And on this episode, we've got Ciarán Moran, Irish music artist, joining us on a special guest interview segment.
But before that, we've got Ryan O'Hagan and Jay Carraher joining us for the Overload segment.
Let's get into it.
The Overload segment. Now on Insight, the Stripped Back podcast.
Right, lads. Thanks for joining myself and Keith on the final Overload segment of Season 4. Delighted to have you.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, thanks for having us.
They're also the first challenge wall contestants as well.
Yeah.
Master versus Apprentice.
Yes.
And the scores reflected that.
For anybody who's listening to the podcast or even watching us now, Spotify, YouTube, you can check out the footage on YouTube or on Instagram of the lads attempting the challenge wall. So, yeah, what you want to run through it, Key? What do they have to do?
So they've got a double socket, they've got a one gang switch, and they're running it up through two pieces of conduit up into the consumer unit, straight into the top of the RCBOs. And then you're finishing off the circuits, I suppose, with just clicking in the quick connect on the Robust Harbour Express.
Yeah, I think we took a bit of advice from eFix about doing a little challenge like this, thinking that it would bring something, a bit extra to the podcast and a bit of fun to it. And I don't know, yourselves, first little go at it, what did you think of it?
It's different when you're under pressure.
Yeah.
Recording you.
Yeah. More pressure than working with Jay.
Well, a bit more pressure, yeah.
It's a good icebreaker though when you have people in just to kind of break the ice, something to do and something different.
Yeah. But I think I even holding the camera, looking at just it just brought back memories of me and you doing it over at eFix. It is nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking. You'd be sweating doing it, yeah. But we're going to release a special video of Ryan, and we're just going to say, these things not to do in this challenge. No, fair play, Ryan.
There's a lot of scrap cable there. If there's any companies that want to get involved with the podcast for scrapping cables, we'd be delighted to have you.
In fairness to Ryan, the coils were new coils, so for spooling off, it was a lot harder because they get twisted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when he twisted.
Or when he twisted.
But podcast this week, but the two of us were also at a big award ceremony last night, Generation Apprenticeship. What was that like for Apprentice of the Year? Even I know it didn't fall in your favour, but just to be there is it's a great achievement.
Even just to get nominated. And when Jay nominated me, I think I was only with him about 2 months. I remember we were working late out in Dalkey, and I came home, picture from Jay and the form filled out. Couldn't believe, even just the thought of being nominated,
Yeah. But you even said that, Keith, didn't you, before, about, oh, jeez, I should probably start doing that for my lads, even just to take the time, Jay, to put your lads in is great,
And it is, and it gives them encouragement to kind of push on, I suppose, and if they feel that you think they have something, it's going to make them feel better about themselves, and they'll kind of give something maybe back to you then as well when you need, if you're stuck for a hand late one night. But I mean, like that, you can't give it to them all. You can't obviously nominate all your apprentices. So it's obviously you're nominating someone because they think they deserve it as well.
Yeah, spurs the other ones on as well. To show, I found that as well. You give a bit of recognition to the lads that are doing well. Just it's fair is fair, and we talked about vans and supplying a bit of tools to them and stuff like that. If they're pulling their weight, they get rewarded if we can. You know what I mean? So it's only a good thing.
It is, and it gives a good kind of. I mean, it's great for them. They're getting something, but also they're giving back to you. And I think that's the way it kind of has to work for people to get on. Like, especially in small companies, it's great that when you have a crew that get on together and can have a laugh and do things.
And they have
together.
to be able to see that your employer is able to offer you these things going forward. Like, there is career progression. You know what I mean? And there is rewards for keeping a good standard and I suppose good behaviour and stuff as well, like, you know what I mean, and doing the job properly.
Yeah, that's it,
Would you link in with a lot of other apprentices on social media? I know, like, you wouldn't have, like, a massive, like, social media imprint of the work you're doing, like, but obviously that type of achievement would bring in a lot of attention for you as an apprentice. Do you find that you got a lot of messages coming in from, other apprentices within, say, maybe similar stages of their apprenticeship wishing you well?
Yeah, I got a good few texts, even lads who used to work with, like, they seen it and they're saying, like, well done, to be nominated and get that far of going into the Mansion House for being a chance of being up for an award. Like,
yeah, must be tough to come back in then the next day then and actually just get back into the real graft then, is it?
Yeah.
Especially with the headache.
A
few points last night.
A bit of an enjoyable night. But
so what way does it work? Like, is it like a dinner event, or is it like, around the table, a few drinks and, presentation? What way does it work?
So you went in and welcomed at the door with a few drinks and tell you where to go. There's probably 4 or 5 other apprentices sitting on the table.
Yeah.
But they're from all different
backgrounds
and different types of jobs, and then doing a bit of a speech saying all sorts of stuff, like, and then the awards kind of kicked off then, and they went through each category and then an overall award, and they brought out a bit of food then.
Yeah, it's very surreal, like, but like, you'd obviously notice, Jay, when you get in there, like, just even the network in the room, like, must be amazing, like,
Oh, it was, yeah. There was people going around kind of introducing each other and introducing themselves to each other and having a chat, and it's good, and even for apprentices to talk to other apprentices in the same field that, electrical, that could be industrial, commercial, domestic, they're just to talk to different people, and especially the ones that are in there as well, I presume, are all there for a reason. So
I was just going to say that, like, there's obviously, for you as an employer, there's probably like-minded employers there that nominated their apprentices to go there. So it's a room full of positivity, I suppose.
Yeah, but even there, as Ryan saying, there was speeches at the start, like they were talking about, there is, by the end of this year, they're hoping to have 100 different apprenticeships in Ireland, which is amazing considering before there wasn't that, like, there was not too far ago, there was only 5, 10, so.
There seems to be a massive push now, doesn't there? Like that, like a lot of different departments, like pushing, either if it is through podcasts or if it's through the likes of these awards and even the Building Heroes and stuff like that, that they're really trying to get this push on, like, to get school leavers into the system again, like, which I think is great.
Oh, it is, yeah, definitely.
Because we've seen it, like the workers. I always wonder, when people come out and say, like, the work is slow. Like, I haven't seen any of that, like, in the last couple of years, like, so. And obviously these are nearly like recruitment drives, getting these, awards out there to make it more, I suppose, glamorous, like, more appealing to young people to do it.
Yeah, well, it gives people who maybe don't want to go to college some other opportunity where they can go and start off as an apprentice and work their way up. Like, there was people there who won awards last year who would come on then, and they were after setting up a company. And I think he said he had 10 lads working for him after winning the Apprentice of the Year last year, which is, I think he was a plumber, wasn't he? A plumber, and he set up with 2 of his friends. They set up the company, and then there's 10 lads working for him. So, like, it's
a step
from being an apprentice, like, I don't, in that field that he won last year to this year, have 10 lads, and I think he was gone on to do a college course then as well at night time for himself as well to kind of progress again. So
it's just one part of the stepping stones to where he's going. So, like, for that lad, it sounds like he's gone far.
Yeah. Would you see that potential, Jay, like, when you're hiring, like, the likes of Ryan and, you're getting these lads into your company, like, how quick, like, do you know, like, when you've got an apprentice coming in for you, like, how quick would you know, like, that you've got somebody good on your hands?
Yeah, you kind of get a vibe off someone kind of within the kind of month or two, well, especially if they're, if they're fresh, it's harder. It's a lot harder, but you can just see what willingness to work or whatever at that stage, and they mightn't know what a screwdriver is, as a first year. But like Ryan came into me, he would already been with someone else, came on, but you could just see with himself, eager to work, eager to learn, always wants to do the right things, and you kind of when you get at that off someone, it can be quite. I don't know about yourself, Keith. You've lads as well.
Yeah,
2 or 3 weeks, you can kind of see.
It is around the month, isn't it?
Yeah,
what you were saying there. Maybe 1 or 2 fellas who mentioned it before that came in, and I was like, I don't know about these lads. I don't think it's going to work. And they probably were the best ones in the end of it all. You know what I mean? And like one of them worked in a supermarket, and I was like, oh, sure, he's never handled tools before in his life, and then 3 weeks later he's flying, he's up chasing walls, he's drilling walls, he's clipping cables, and for anyone, I had me son Callum in this week, the clipping of the cable is probably the hardest bit at the very start. You have lumps taken out of your fingers and everything, and you're watching them, and torture watching them, but they get it when they get it, it's great, to see,
Oh no, definitely, yeah. But I think you can see it by a person, though, know, and some people just want to come into your apprenticeship and just want to be an electrician straight away, and they don't want to learn. But the other ones go, no, I want to learn. I even had a fella there. He was got called for phase 2 when he actually wanted to hold back because he didn't think he was ready to go yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's brave.
Which not many people would say to you, So.
How do you find that? How many guys have you got working with you now?
I've 6 at the moment.
6. So how do you find the rotation of getting the apprentices into college and then trying to keep the same level of work going for a company and then before you even get them back?
Yeah, it can be hard sometimes. Especially I have 2 called, and then actually one lad that's with me, he's also in the army, and so he can get called back there. And that could be last minute type thing. So you just kind of have to juggle it sometimes. We have got stuck doing a few late nights one week, but then next week you're kind of back to normal, and you kind of yourself.
Yeah, I got a call, I think it was last week or the week before, and last minute call for one of the lads, one of my good lads, Daniel, to go to Donegal. Do you know what I mean? Before Christmas, one of my main lads, and it was the first refusal type of thing, and I just said to Dan, look, so we're busy coming up. He's getting called in January anyway. Yeah, but to do that to an employer that it's a small business, small to medium size. They don't expect it. Now, Dan, obviously, he didn't want to have to go. He's hoping for somewhere in Dublin anyway, so he didn't want to do the commute anyway. But, that last minute thing, it can really throw you off. Yeah,
well, that's always the same way too. They're called, and I kind of said to the lads, look, I can't let both just go.
Yeah.
And in fairness, one said, look, I don't mind hanging back. So, I mean,
I don't know, you get pushed back a month as well, I think.
It's not nice to do, He definitely got the next call.
Yeah.
Do you see that, Ryan, coming from an apprentice's standpoint, when you see the likes of that happening within a business, does that give you the bit of savvy to think, right, well, I'm learning that as a business sense of things as well? You're soaking in what it actually takes to actually be, a business owner, seeing the struggles that can come as well with trying to logistically have a crew of people working for you. Does that be noticeable as an apprentice?
You see it an awful lot more when you go to a smaller company like with Jay, and we're going into customers' houses and you're going in, the place is clean, so you want to leave it like that going in, and it's him or they'll get the call saying, using the house, he made a mess, and then it looks bad on his point, so you might can get a call back there again. So that's bringing his business down. They might leave a review then, and that's bringing the business down again. See it an awful lot more in a smaller company.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has to stand together, and work to the same standards, and you know that more than most, with what you try to instill in your lads, and you've said it to me many times, you know what I mean, that you're not trying to get your lads to work and be a robot exactly the way you are, because you can learn stuff from other guys coming up as well, but it's just the basic standards of, what you mentioned there, cleaning or respect for customers or even respect for your fellow colleagues and stuff like that. In order to, you mentioned it before last week, a lot of apprentices help each other to even learn when they're working together even more than sometimes working with the qualified lads, you know.
I'm sure one of the lads probably said to you, like, Jay's going to bait you if you don't if you don't clean up after yourself. Like, giving the heads up to lads, like, and not letting them make the mistake is another thing, like, you know.
It was even like the small thing you joked about when we were doing the challenge earlier on. Oh, while you're here, can you do this? Like, you're going to do a certain job. Like, that's the thing. If you say to the customer, no, I can't, I'll have to come back another time, it leaves a sour taste with them.
Yeah.
Now, it might throw you off an hour and you have another job to go to. And like, or it could be the last job of the day and you're saying to the lads, oh, look, we're just going to do this. And next minute, we're caught 10, 20 minutes late leaving. Like, you know, so.
That side of it as well.
That's another thing, you know.
Well, you take on a bit of extra, like, work that might not be standard to what a normal contractor would do. The likes of this time of the year can be a little bit busier for you as well. Halloween, you do a bit of work with the Nightmare Realm as well, yeah?
Yeah, that keeps us busy now for a couple of weeks coming up to, you know, because obviously the set's been built and you're kind of tied in there. And then obviously you're getting other calls from other jobs. Other things might be finishing at the same time as well. You're trying to juggle the whole lot, you know, and obviously it's in town with a small crew. You're trying to hit that with lads and get it over the line in time. But the lads all enjoy doing it. It's a bit of crack and
a lot of walking as well.
Get the steps in.
A few clowns jumping out at the same time.
But like, there was one girl there. I was walking down. The place was empty, like, and you know, there were people in the sets, and I just walked down. Didn't notice anything, and I forgot something in the van. I turned, but there was a girl, and she was sitting there. I just thought it was a prop, and she turned around with a paper. She was painting the wall, like, but she was actually out there. And I jumped. I was going, you know what I mean? There was nothing else in the place.
It must be hard, to do that type of project, like, where it's, I presume, takes you a couple of weeks, like, and obviously you do that once a year, and you have to try and keep the rest of the year moving along while you're. I'm sure it's all hands on deck for those couple of weeks.
Yeah, and you can have it booked in, but then obviously if the set's not ready, you're trying to pull off for a day, and then, you know, you're kind of
everything gets pushed today.
Juggle, or if you have been on a job and then the builder's getting you back for, you know, just a second fix needs to be done, and you're all in there. Just, you know,
you find it's busy on the residential stuff, like, you know, the houses and those type of calls coming in, builders and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, we're kind of. I don't work for too many builders, but like if we're on, say, we could be on a rewire with someone where they're getting building works done, and you know, they're kind of working with them. But we're the residential side of it's kind of what we do mostly, like, you know. We're kept going now. You know, we've got big projects picked in for next year already, like, you know. So
how the two of you finding the likes of, you know, managing the jobs that you have, trying to keep the company going the way you want it going, and then the other challenges that might come in, you know, maybe Safe Electric or something like that. Like, you know what I mean, you're trying to get in touch with getting certs from Safe Electric and stuff like that. How hard has that been?
It's challenging at times.
It's hard to part with the money.
Just
for the certs.
Like, you know, sometimes it's grand, you know, but other times if there's a bit of a problem, you know, my inspector changed this year as well, so you're kind of, who do I ring now? You know, if you have a problem or if there's something you want to ask them, which can be difficult. And then
it seems like it's a thing now that's happened, like, and nothing against the inspectors and nothing against anything like that. It just seems to be an administration and logistics issue since the takeover. And it seems it's not just yourselves in, you know, the game that the 2 years are working in, even right up to us within the maintenance, like as, you know, principal duty holder of the company I'm working with, like, trying to get in touch with anybody to come out and do any type of checks, or, you know, trying to get books ordered or trying to get anything. It's just a nightmare, you know. Right down to even subscription fees. It's crazy, you know. Absolutely crazy.
My inspector told me that it was meant to be a smooth changeover, that everything was all ready to go. So I think we all know it was anything but that.
Took them a couple of months to get it going right,
and it's still like
still
issues, you know. But
where's the involvement with the, you know, contractors in order to hear? And like, I know we were at the trade talks at the RDS recently. You know, Safe Electric, where they had a stall there, they had the talks there, you know, and, you know, there's some positive things being mentioned, but it's just how quick are they going to get it up and running to make it run smoothly for the likes of yourselves, like, which is, it's hitting you hard as well, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you have to kind of remember there's a lot of other things coming into the fold, like with the solar and stuff like that as well, and the EV chargers. I'm pretty sure that it's taken that side of it is taking up a lot of their time as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So newsletter out this week.
Yeah, and the solar installs, they're allowing the 100 milliamp RCBO to be used because certain systems are, they're tripping out the 30 milliamps, and obviously as a contractor, you're getting a call to say this thing's not working. Like people are paying 10 to, I suppose, between 10 and 20 grand on a solar system, batteries, car chargers and stuff. And they're having RCBOs tripping, and it's this kind of time of year as well when you get a bit of moisture and stuff like that as well. So that was a positive change.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things I took away from even just the trade talks and, forgetting about the newsletters and stuff is if they can actually roll out this online digital certs, I think it's going to be a game changer. But what would they say in 2025? And that could be 2026 maybe. You never know, you know what I mean?
But even like that, the way they were saying though, that you have to have you can't just fill out one cert. You have to log off and log back in. It's like
it's just a bit of hard. It's hard
more paperwork.
Yeah,
taking longer for you to do what you have to do. Then which eats into your own personal time because you don't do that during the day when you're working. As well as a small contract.
The thing I took, I'm still paper certs. I don't know. It's hard to take the jump to doing the digital ones. But the one thing that would stop me doing it now at the moment is that the test record sheet, is the new system that they're proposing is going to have test record sheet and cert in the one package. Yeah. And then when you fill out your test record sheet, it'll transfer automatically onto the cert. If that happens, it'd be brilliant. That'd save time. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, it's just, isn't it, streamlining everything into one screen? Even if what you're saying, they're not like what even Jay was saying there. You're nearly double jobbing it. Yeah, in a sense,
jumping back in and out.
Yeah, that's just wasting more time in a sense where you could just have that page in front of you and it's done. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's all ahead of you. But what stage are you of the apprenticeship now?
Third year. Phase 2 in February.
Phase 2 February, yeah. So how did you find phase 2 then coming in regards to what's being used out on site right now in regards to systems and stuff? Did you find that it was relevant?
Small, but you're doing stuff on such smaller scale, that you go to a house, it's completely different. Even switching, you're adding way more stuff into it. And then stuff like motor control, most lads have never even seen that before and probably won't see it again, till they go to phase 4.
Yeah, myself and Key, I'd mentioned at talks that we were at in London there recently about they do a College Connect over in the UK, where robots get involved with the likes of eFix, but they go around and they try to get manufacturers involved where they're actually coming in and doing demonstrations and road shows.
Road shows and workshops. So when you were in phase 2, I presume you didn't touch an LED strip. No. Or you probably didn't do an LED bathroom light. No. Probably all pendants and stuff. So that's what they're kind of proposing, or looking to maybe get that into the Irish market where they can get in and show you how to solder a piece of tape, or they can, show you the driver. They talk about it, but you need to have it in your hands before you know how to use it.
Much better idea. Do you know what I mean? It's I don't know, when I started my time teaching us how to use pyro, that's the last time I ever used pyro. You know what I mean?
But that's it. You have to kind of pick and choose the things that are going to be relevant. The solar is a big thing now. Yeah. Just hit anything on the solar.
No, not even car chargers.
Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't
it? So most new builds now, I think it's a requirement to have a provision at least for them things. So it'd be nice to know what you're actually putting it in for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we had John Doherty on here, and he's properly advocating for the system to be caught up with the industry that's happening outside. And myself and Keith proposed, and we've even spoke to John outside, about trying to get him involved with something similar to what they're doing in the UK, and hopefully the start of next year. Like, we're going to look to try and get involved with something ourselves with Robus, and try and get a few manufacturers involved, and hopefully do it here in the Robus headquarters, upstairs, where we could get apprentices in, maybe get employers to release their apprentices in to actually do a workshop on the day, so that when they walk back out, they'll come back out with a bit of hands-on knowledge, it'd be only beneficial, I think,
That makes sense, because there's no point learning about stuff that you're not going to be using. And if they want it all, like, they're pushing on for apprentices, they should be teaching them what's out there at the moment, not archaic stuff that we're not allowed to use or not using anymore.
From what John was saying was the schedule is so tight that if they look to introduce new things into the curriculum, they have to lose other things. Yeah. So like there'd be controversy in that, like, where what would you lose? Like maybe, incandescent lamps and stuff like that. Like you're not gonna.
But when you think of it, the apprenticeship is 4 years. They do 6 months, 3 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
If they said, Foss or Sullis come into you and said, listen, we have a 2-day course on LED lighting and fittings or something like that, and then in another couple of months' time, we have another thing. Let the lads, easily let the lads go, and you knew it was coming up. Or even if it was a 2-day and you were letting 2 lads go for the 2 days, you go, right, they're going to learn something. Yeah, and it's added onto it. Yeah, it's still. They're still learning. They're still they're becoming more up to date with what's out there, as opposed to just what was on the curriculum.
We were even talking about it. We were like, I know if someone offered me that for my lads, like LED tape, say, or like a solar, it doesn't have to be like the micro generation course or anything like that, but it's just an introduction to solar. Yeah. That you have a live wall there and you can do it. I'd pay a few quid to get the lads in to do that. Do you know what I mean? And if they know, it saves me having to show them everything. Like, you know what I mean? But they have an idea of it before they get shown as well. Like, that's what I'd be thinking anyway.
Like the likes of Robus and John Ford, like, who does it in the UK, like he, was heavily on like the LED lighting, and even down to a lot of apprentices who are not getting even trained up properly in regards to emergency lighting. Yeah. Did he teach you anything about emergency lighting in there?
No, I think they might have covered it very briefly.
Yeah.
But, like, you're not shown a fitting, you're not taught anything about it. Like,
yeah, you don't actually have to do it.
Yeah,
like practically, like.
Yeah, like that. We be proposing to, like, get apprentices in, have fittings open here, even show them the conversions of fittings. You know what I mean, so that they can actually get an eye on how a fitting actually works. Yeah. You know what I mean, so that, like, when you're coming out, like, you do a bit of maintenance on something, like, there's no harm in knowing how a fitting works, like, and how it's actually set up. Like, the old days, if you got an apprentice out, even nowadays, to open up a fitting and they saw, like a ballast and stuff like that, like, you wouldn't know what they'd be looking at. You know what I mean? So, if we're talking on them lines, you need to be showing these apprentices the guts of a fitting, like, and showing them how it actually works and how the battery packs work. And, you're mentioning the same thing. It's seeing, like a live solar system there, like, and actually physically seeing something. A lot of lads will only learn that way. You know what I mean? There's no point in reading about it.
I remember, like, even once that we were sent, when Cat 6 was kind of coming out, we were sent, like, one of the manufacturers. They were doing a course there, just punching. It was just showing you how to punch them down, how, like, giving you a spiel about the cable. It's only a half day, just, and it was free. It was just in, you went, and, boss didn't mind us going in.
And it's stick with you as well.
Like, that's, like, you're going, at least then you're getting to play with it and see it, as opposed to being on a job the first time and, what's this, and panicking then, so. Yeah,
or even for the likes of the lads, I think John said they've integrated a bit of solar. I think that Daniel that was in, it's like a page, you know what I mean? Like, you read it and then that's it. Like, but, like, imagine being able just to even just crimp the ends and terminate them and, see what the story is with them.
But they're so gun-ho now, like, I'm just saying that they're getting the numbers down in wait times. Yeah. And that's all well and good, like, wait times, perfect, get them down, brilliant, like. But there's no point in, like, fast-tracking these guys through phases and getting them back out on the site again, and then have them, not be up to date with even the likes of the heating systems that are out there now. You're talking about EV, solar, and them all linking in together, like. And like LED is just like the tip of the iceberg with it, because you're going to have a lot of lads out there who are going to be qualified sparks, but are still going to need to be going back and doing a bit of
CPD and
bit of CPD and stuff like that, like where they could have had it, like, and they could have been well,
tuned
up on it,
into it.
Yeah. I think the likes of yourself, Ryan, if you were to think of it from an apprentice's standpoint now, like, and after getting through the first, the first half of your apprenticeship, if you could, have any opinions to yourself about what you would like to see change within the system for the people coming behind you, like what would you offer up? Like,
you're on the spot here.
On the spot. But I'd agree with what you were saying about getting clued in on new stuff coming in, because it is a lot of, not a lot, but there's a bit of older stuff that they're showing you and going through in the books now, and like chop and change through companies if you have to. If you feel you're not learning, try something else. Or
that seems to be something that's been fairly prominent now, like and even talking to
lads leaving, lads.
Well, Jack Duignan was one that we had on the podcast in season 1 as well, and he was all about that. It was just, you need to get the experience that you feel you need, and if you feel like you've exhausted that experience and you need to go elsewhere, do it. Like, but obviously, it's not great for the employer. You know what I mean? And the employer doesn't want to see that. Like, but at the end of the day, there has to be a bit of give and take in regards to, if you can come up to your employer and say, look, I really want to get into this sector, and that's the reason why I'm going. Yeah. It's fair enough. Like, nobody wants to be chopping and changing just for the sake of it, because at the end of the day, you have to, I think, have a bit of an idea of what sector you're getting into when you're leaving your apprenticeship. Like, you know what I mean? Because, you don't want to be doing data and working on data centers and, doing conduit and trunking for your whole apprenticeship, and then come out and, contact Heat, like, and say, can I do solar panels and work and rewiring a house? Like, you have to know what you want, like,
I think it's good for them to see all sides of the apprenticeship, but I do think a few people now, they're just jumping if they have an argument with someone, or they're just, or like the boss gave out to me today, and then they're jumping over to someone else. And there's a good bit of that, I think, going on at the moment as well. Like, so
I think that's a across the board with the youth. Like, don't want to be bashing, but like, you can't say boo to them anymore. And like, that's what I was brought up on anyway. Was, it was a bit of tough love, like, on site. Not to the extent like where, they were being abusive or anything like that, but just like, gentle hooshes to, being able to perform and stuff. You know what I mean? That's what it was. And that's where, like, you'll find with most good electricians, that's the path they took as well. Like,
you try and push lads on and give them the encouragement to do it, and like, then if they do something wrong, you're kind of, come out to telling you that, and then, then they're like, they get into the huff, and then next minute,
but you have to be able to
jump
say
shift to someone else.
I'd always kind of back it up then, like, and give it a few minutes and just go to them like, what did you want me to say? Well done for doing something that you've been taught already. Like, could have been over a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and there's like the same mistake has been made, or a silly mistake. Like, you kind of have to tell them, like, it wouldn't be right if you didn't. I think
I always say to lads, have a notebook there, and just, you can be writing down little silly things in it for yourself. Taking notes. And I said, you're going to do a job, say, like, we'd have our online diary. They lads can see, right, tomorrow I'm going to do that. Oh, well, last time we did that. Have a quick look back on your little notebook, and you're like, refreshes in you before you're going in.
Yeah.
A lot of them just see it, some see it as a job, and then they just kind of come 4 o'clock, that's it, it's gone. Now, I understand that as well, but it's always nice to go, if they went back and done a little, or even during talking to you the next day, gone, I had to look back on what we did, and tomorrow, and
I'm going to do better with that. And
it's going to make the employer be, oh, Jesus, he's clued in here, he's willing to learn. And they're the ones that they're going to kind of drag through the bar, than someone that's going
to rise to the top. Yeah.
How many years are you in business now?
It's my 4th year out my own. So.
Right, and have you found the right balance within the 4 years?
Like, it chops and changes. Like like I lost a good lad this year, but like there's other lads coming in now. Hopefully can take his place and continue. But you know yourself, it's very hard to keep people.
Just mentally yourself, like have you got over that stage of?
I don't think you ever will. It's just, you know, I have done a bit of work on myself this year when I had time to do it, and I am in a better place. I'm doing a few cold water swims and things like that, and
started doing yoga and Pilates.
Right.
I did, yeah.
on site.
Yeah. But just working with the speed, then you know, it helps with that. You know.
Yeah.
Have we got the times?
You have the times there.
I don't know. They go looking for them.
I know where they are.
Yeah, he knows it there.
Jay's gone looking for them. Yeah. Will we reveal them?
Oh.
So we had, who was up first? We had Ryan up first on the wall, and then we had Jay then follow after him.
Ryan done full 3-phase board, a solar system, and an EV.
A half day is fucking, yeah.
Ryan's was 12:31, and Jay's was 7:36.
Well
7
done,
minutes
Jay.
36.
Including the blackout.
Including, we had a bit of a technical issue as well.
That's the first two that have tried the challenge well. So the benchmark has been set with Jay at 7:36. So
It's be a hard one to beat.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. I think I don't know if we'll have a lot of people now looking to try and see if we can get Jay further down the wall.
Off his perch, is that what you say?
See if they can get him further down as the weeks go on. But we're looking forward to seeing if it can be done. I won't try it, but
No, we don't show us up in our own show.
No. But listen, when the last time we spoke to you, Jay, you know, leading up to around Christmas time and stuff like that, you like to do a bit for charities and stuff like that. You doing something similar this year?
Yeah, we do it every year. So kind of, I put a few posts and try and help a few smaller charities, just little donations and that, you know. So I leave it up to kind of the followers on Instagram, send them in, and then I kind of let my kids then pick 2 or 3 off it, or depending, and we give them all something in it.
Yeah, it's a great
It's
idea.
nice to be able to give something back, you know.
Yeah.
Just
We'll definitely share it around anyway when we're on there. And if anybody was looking to find you on Instagram, where can they find you?
Carraher Electrical.
Carraher Electrical.
yeah.
I see the vans going around as well.
Yeah, no, he's doing great work.
Yeah. And look, don't be a stranger to the podcast about
yeah,
it.
definitely, yeah.
Definitely link back in with you to see how you've got on. And I say, Jay, I'll have you up for a few more awards as the apprenticeship goes on.
Not with speeds like that.
You get another chance to do it.
That's an award in itself. Listen, lads, delighted to have you on the final overload of season 4. And look, we don't know where this is going to go or what it's going to do for us, but hopefully it won't be the last time we'll see us on here, you know.
I know, come on, listen, thanks for having us in again. It's great to come on and to be able to share a few stories with us and have a chat.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's all about. And I think that's what the industry needs, is someone like yourselves that are putting it out there and, you know.
Just having a bit of
appreciate that.
Yeah, brilliant. Cheers, lads.
Thanks a million,
Thank you.
lads.
Take it
Cheers.
easy.
Thanks.
Right, Key. That was great. Last overload segment of season 4. Jay and Ryan. Interesting chat, and you know, yourself, another business owner on the podcast. I know you enjoy that.
Yeah, you know, I love getting on electrical contractors and, you know, business owners. Love picking their brains, and like seeing the apprentices as well. See, you know, what, you know, benchmark for my own lads. So I'll have a couple of my lads in doing the wall soon. So we'll see how they get on.
Yeah, it was interesting actually just to see the apprentice, and I know you said the master, and having the two of them pitted against each other. There's always a bit of pressure, you know, and we did something similar when we were in the UK at eFix, and we know how the hands can start to shake like when there's a camera put in front of you. But it was a very interesting watch. Not a bad time from Ryan all the same, considering, but I think Jay just...
Edged it.
He edged it, and he set a nice benchmark there for anybody else who wants to come in and try and, you know, outdo him on season 5.
I'm gonna say he's gonna be up towards the top by the time we're finished. I think that was a really good run that he had. It's all about getting the cable up that conduit, you know, first time. Once you get that in, I think you're onto a winner. But yeah, like we were saying earlier on, big thanks to CP Fuse Box for sending out the consumer unit to us, and Robus also for the Harbour Express there, and to me for buying the sockets and the switches.
And a bit of cable as well. And a big shout out to CK Tools, who have kindly offered up a few hand tools to be used on the challenge. And I think it's a little challenge and a little project that can be adjusted over time and mixed up when we've got time and we want to make it a bit harder or we want to change it up a bit. So for anybody who wants to get in and get on it, like while it's in its current state, reach out to us on Instagram, TikTok, send us an email, and we'll get you in the studio in season 5 and you can have a good run at it. But I guess we'll just keep the rest of the episode going, and we've got an amazing Irish music artist joining us for a chat. He's literally just come back from a stint over in New York, playing a few gigs for the expats over there, and he's kindly freed up a night to come in and join us for a chat. So looking forward to getting talking.
I feel privileged having him in here because we've been listening to the album, and I have high hopes for him because like artists in the past, he has that draw. I think being Irish, being authentic, and singing what's true to him. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Right, let's get Ciarán Moran in the studio.
The guest interview segment, now on Insight, the Stripped Back podcast.
Ciarán, thanks for joining myself and Keith on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, great having you on. As we were saying there before we came on, you kept me and my missus company on the way up to Sligo last week with your album. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's a great listen.
Yeah, look, Spotify is something that, has played a big thing in people's lives over many years now. And I don't know what it would have been like for yourself growing up, getting the old CDs and stuff now. It must be a big change for you to be hearing yourself digitally.
I think now, nowadays, obviously you have access to music anywhere, you can get it anywhere you want. When I was a kid, I remember we used to have do you remember a Walkman? So you put a CD into them, That was what we had, but I never really listened to too much music as a kid, weirdly. I listened to music when my ma and dad would be playing it or whatever, but I wasn't the type of kid that would be sitting around with albums in the head all day or have favourite albums. Or I was into music and I know I liked playing music and I was familiar with what a catchy song was when I heard it, but I was never really mad into, I wasn't one of the type of kid. I wish I could go back and say, look, I used to go around and have all these sound systems and people who say I had vinyl players and all that. Didn't really have that. I remember tapes as well. I remember there was tapes, but maybe that, and just the radio as well. You'd just kind of have the radio on my nanny's house or whatever years ago and you'd be listening to it,
I think that's the thing, isn't it, where you nearly find your love for music through family playing songs, or, where you'd hear them coming in after a night out, and the music be playing in the kitchen or something, and you get that tune in your head and it just sticks with you now. Like I say, do you have a lot of that growing up?
Yeah, so all my family are musicians. Most of my family would have been musical. Like my uncles and my brother, they've all kind of played in bands and they've been around the scene for years. And my brother was in quite a successful band in 99, 2000, around that time with my cousins as well. They were a busking group that they got a record deal and went on to support the likings of Sinead O'Connor and Meatloaf, and they had amazing experiences.
Impressive.
So when I was a kid, it wasn't with our family. It wasn't really ever a thing that I want to learn music. It was kind of that's what happens, if there's a family full of footballers, the next one that comes is usually going to be a footballer. He'll play, and there's always the one that doesn't do. But when I was a kid, I was very familiar with instruments, and they would have been around the house, and me ma and dad were in a pub. They'd be getting up to sing and things like that, and all the family they do the likings of karaoke and stuff like that. And a fun fact, actually, I've never sang karaoke once in my life. I've always been terrified to do it. Even till today, I'd be terrified to do karaoke. But my family would all love it. Years ago, you go into a pub and you couldn't get them off the mic. There'd be other people saying, "Well, this, come on," there'd be 6 in a row getting up to do a song, and to be going on, and who's got the loudest clap, and who's having a buzz, really, But it was just something that it's kind of a thing that's. If someone knew our family, they'd say, they're a musical family, so to speak, So
you're kind of more away from mainstream and just it's kind of in your bones more than, bound to what's on trend at the moment. Like, it's just literally in you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that thing that I suppose, like, it's nearly a thing that if you're not doing it, you're a bit odd in the family. Like, how come they don't play guitar or piano or whatever, or sing? And it's like people that would not, like, from our area, like where I grew up, like the people that know me brother Keith from music and when he was younger, and it's just kind of like when it's more natural for us to do it. Like, I wish it was something like football or something like that where you could play something that you can make a fortune of if you do really well.
Yeah.
But it's to be fair, it was something that it was more just inside us sooner than something we wanted to go and learn,
Like, how you mentioned there, obviously growing up like in the area, like how important is it like to have a community and an area which you've grown up in, like in order to maybe help you develop like as an artist? Like, is that something that you bring along with you like in your career as you go forward?
Draw the inspiration from it, yeah.
Absolutely. Like where I grew up in the north inner city, and a lot of the songs, like I was 13 and I was writing songs about my neighbour who lived a couple of doors down who had addiction issues. And for me, I went to this youth club to learn how to write songs and that. And I remember at the time, like, people were writing songs about things, like, they'd be writing songs about, like, wherever, say flowers or like, oh, I can't wait to get a car, whatever it is, just general stuff. And I was writing about this person that lives close to me, And for me, I always wanted to bring the inner city into the songs. I was never afraid of writing, I was never afraid I was a bit afraid of going and directly telling someone I wrote this song about you. I never really did. But I've always, like, the community in the inner city would have shaped me as a person, if that makes sense. So it's all I really know. Like, so I can't write about living in LA if I haven't done it, And for me, I was very familiar with the way people are in the inner city. I was familiar with the community, but it was like it obviously gets, at times, it does get it can get a kind of a bit of a knock, At times people say, it's this part, and same with a lot of parts of Dublin, but I've been all over Dublin, and those kind of areas are the most tight-knit communities you'll find, and they'll have your back. And I've been very fortunate in ways, like any gigs I've done, like I'd have loads from the inner city that come in and they'd be supporting you. And there's some people that probably don't even like the music, but they're just saying, do you know what, he's a young fella, we've seen him growing up here, we give him a go and give him a bit of support. And that's what I'll be always grateful for that, But in terms of me writing and things like that, it'll always be about things I'm familiar with. It'll never be songs about things I'm unsure of,
Yeah. That's deadly. But you opened a couple of times for Aslan. Yeah. What was that experience like?
That was probably some of the best experiences of my life, I was very fortunate with Aslan. They brought me around, they gave me chances and chances and chances. And there were certain gigs I'd done, like, over the years where if I look back and see a little video now, I'd be saying, like, what's it? It sounded shite, or the songs or epoxy or whatever it was. But they brought me to every part of the country. There's not many counties I haven't been to with Aslan. I've done for about 2 or 3 years, And I was meant to do some shows with them. One of their last shows was meant to be in Glasgow before the Tri Arena one that they had. I was meant to go off to Glasgow with them, and just before Christy got sick, But I think that was one of the things that gave me the most experience of what I'm doing now. I played in front of every type of crowd in an Aslan gig. I do Vicar Street one week where the crowd are mad for it, and then I could go up to Monaghan and the crowd are just there for Aslan or whatever it is. Not Monaghan in general, but overall, like, you'd be going to a place that they're just there for Aslan. Yeah, they don't really care too much about the sport. They'll give you an air, and if you like it, they don't. And I learned so much by that, And you nearly learn. I know it's cliche, but you do learn a lot more from the ones that don't go as well, because if you can go up to, for example, Drogheda, I remember going to a place up there and I was halfway through a song, and I have a song about domestic violence, and I was halfway through a song. I remember a girl shouting up Jordan in the middle of it saying, any ABBA songs, And she was just drunk and having a laugh, which is great. It would be a messer and things like that. I can understand that. But if I can play through that song in front of that audience, I can play anywhere in the world. And
that song it's a deep song as well. And
absolutely, yeah. And I don't know where you'd go to, what ABBA song you'd fall into there, but I don't know. I remember at the time just thinking to myself, you know what, I'm going and doing these gigs, and there's a lot of them that's great, but you're not really learning much from it, because you're going out and people are praising you and they're saying, well done and things like that. So you're thinking to yourself, jeez, I'm doing something all right. And then you go up to one and there's no one listening. I think to yourself, this is a bit of a reality check here. I have to keep walking, you know what I mean? And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. Like, I do say that to certain people in music. Like, sometimes you think the crowd don't like them, or sometimes I've often went to gigs and you just want to have maybe a drink, or you just want to talk to your pal. You might be out with someone you haven't seen in years or something like that, and
Yeah.
that's all right too, you know. But it gives you that kind of experience to be able to soldier through any situations like that, you know. And usually the worst ones where you have a really bad gig, and not necessarily with Aslan, but I've done festivals and that before where people are just they're not clued into what you're doing, or they're not interested in what you're doing. And again, that's fine, but the next gig that you do, that's a good one, is amazing, because you're after having it gives you the run again, you know.
Yeah. So sometimes people aren't going to the festivals for the music at all. You know what I mean? It's just for jolly up with lads.
I understand that. I've often went to gigs like there'd be a sport act on. Now I know from being a sport act what it's like, and I'd step out of the room or I'd go into like the bar area where you're not making noise over them, or if there's someone with me and they're shouting, I'd say shush. But it's only because I know that. But I know from years ago I'd often go into a gig and I'd be there to see the artist that I'm going to see, and there'd be a support on. You'd be just yapping, and it's not a malicious way. It's more just having a bit of fun, you know. And the audience never knows that either. You know, they don't know that they're affecting you in any way, or they don't know it affect you. But can't knock it if you allow it to, you know.
Yeah. You mentioned there obviously Christy, you know, and with the likes of the aura that you'd have just being around him, and if you think of the likes of other people who've spoke highly of you, Glenn Hansard and, you know, Christy Moore, that's a big step or big pedestal to try and, you know, reach within the Irish music industry. And, you know, a lot of people looking at you now and your rise at the minute, like, would be thinking, you know, potentially, and, you know, myself and Key have listened to your music and we would agree with it, that you could be the future of what the Irish music industry is. And I was just wondering, does that put added pressure on you, or does it give you an extra drive to get to where they are?
I don't really, no, I wouldn't really think of it like that myself. Like, I think everyone has their own kind of little path, so to speak, you know. Like, for example, the likings of Christy Dignam, I personally don't believe there's anyone in Ireland that will ever, but either have been in the past even close to Christy Dignam in terms of how strong his voice was, how he performed on stage and things like that. But I think if I was trying to kind of find where I'm going with it in that sense, I'd be worried when it's not happening, you know. So for me, I'm trying to do things a little bit different as well, you know. Like, I'm trying to just give myself little goals and give myself, like, I have a little dream I have, like, that I want to sell out the Olympia. I will do it in the next year or so. We'll definitely have it booked within the next year or so. But that's like an aim I want to do and a goal I want to do. But the other stuff, like, of worrying where it goes and things like that could knock you back if you're having like a bad experience or whatever, you know. And it's definitely something, like, I'd love to be a household now. I'd love in a few years' time someone to be on me as ourselves, and you're saying it'd be great if you were doing what Ciarán Moran's doing, or looking to Damien Dempsey or Glenn Hansard. But I don't really focus too far ahead on that, because it's a tough world as well. The Irish industry is very tough, like, and you do have to be different. Like, I hear people all the time with there's gigs that I'm doing, I'm hearing supports and things like that, and some people are amazing. Like, you're hearing new artists that are phenomenal, but there's 6 of them already there that's doing that, you know, doing that style. It's the same thing, and for me, I've always tried to fit into a smaller bracket. Like, you could probably compare my stuff to 5 or 6 people, I think, personally, maybe, if you could. But I've heard, you'll hear some people that you could compare them to everyone you heard on the radio, you know. And I think that's the thing, just trying to find that difference and what makes you different. And then that path will kind of carve itself out for you, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities between yourself and Christy.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
Was the first thing I said to Steve. I said it's like a young version of him. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? It's
and
weird.
I take that as a compliment. You'd have to, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, man. And I've never, I don't know what it might be from or what it is, but I get it a lot. In the last year, 2 years, I get it a lot. Like, I always get the thing that, like, you remind me of, I don't know whether it's just to put emotion into the song, but the other side of it is I would have been on the road with Aslan for a good while, like, where I was supporting him, and you're getting inspiration from them. You're not really copying them, but you can see, like, he's a genius, you know. Like, he's going out. He's just been. I used to always worry about the talking on mics if I sound too common or if I'm going out. And then I'd watch him and I just see he doesn't care, and he's a superstar in Ireland. You know, he's loved.
I was only going to say that because when you're singing the songs, you know the way some people be singing the song and they'll lose their original accent.
Yeah,
like yours, you can hear it coming through. Like on the end of the. Obviously, it's refined in the middle, and then towards the end, it'll come. Yeah, and you can hear. You can, like, I can really tell where he's from. You know what I mean, or where he lives. Like, you know,
that's a big thing. Like, because you can put on an American accent so easily when you sing, and you think it sounds better. You know, a lot of the time it does sound better when you sing in an American accent. Like, if I sing a certain word, like the word "oi," I'm singing oi in an American accent, it's a bit easier and it might sound a bit smoother, you know.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of time to try and get it into your own, putting your own kind of twang on it, so to speak, you know.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is you could go into a studio, like I work with a great fella, Stuart Gray, and go into his studio and I'd say to him, Stuart, I want to make sure that I'm sending this home as where I'm from. You can hear it. When you hear it, you know it's Ciarán Moran, or you know it's a Dublin young fella singing, you know, or a fella. So yeah, that's a big thing for me, you know, and it's so easy to fall into that as well. Like sometimes I listen back on certain songs. I have a song Too Hard on myself. I only recorded 2 years ago, and there's certain parts of the song I just think like I could have done that a little bit more, you know. And it's not you're trying to be someone different. It's just when you're singing, like you're not necessarily thinking
that way. Yeah,
you're just trying to get the song perfect and make it sound right, you know.
Yeah.
When it comes to singing, then there's obviously the opposite end of it. There's the writing.
Yeah.
And has that developed a lot, like over the years, like from when you started to jot down your first little notes from back in the U Club up until, you know, putting the first EP out? Like, have you found that your writing has developed in any way that has, you know, allowed you to, you know, create the album in a sense that came out?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I think for like your writing, I think anyone's writing develops from your experiences in life. If you're the type that will write about experiences, so like for example, like the Life in a City project that I done was the EP, and like the reason I wrote that was because I moved out in a city and I missed the buzz. I know I'm in a place where the community is not as good, it's not as strong, and there's not that kind of where everyone knows everyone around, like that's very distant. So I missed that, and I wanted to try and create something that could show. I always say about Life in a City, the project, that years ago when you're in Spain or you're away with your family, if you get a holiday or whatever, and you're in Spain and you meet a little kid from England or something like that, and they're like, "Where are you from?" You say, "Well, I'm from Dublin, but I come from this part of Dublin." They're like, "What's it like there?" I wanted to try and create a project that could say, "Well, that's what it's like, life in a city." You get a good understanding of what it is, you know, and what way people feel and that. So, yeah, going back to the question, I think the experience of what I've done, like over the years, like I'm obviously developing with words when you're speaking, you're meeting new people and that, and lyrically, I think lyrically I'm a lot stronger than I would have been a couple of years ago as well. But I'm a lot more aware as well of what's going on around me, you know, which is, I think that comes with age as well, you know.
When you're writing your songs down on a piece of paper, or if it's on a phone, or I'm not too sure what your process is.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, yeah.
Can you visually see in your head, like in a movie, in a sense of what that song is? Like, do you get an idea of, when you're putting words down, a movie in a sense in your head of what that song is?
Yeah, usually I get that a lot on stage actually still when I sing the songs, like, so like when you're writing a song, like you go into your imagination, you know, like years ago in school, the teacher says, imagine you're in a field, or imagine that. So you're thinking of the song, and depending on what it's about, like you're thinking, you're picturing it in your head. But I know it was live a lot. Like when I'm playing, I've learned recently that it's called flow state. I've done an interview with a college for a college course. They contact us and ask us about it, because when I'm on stage, my mind is in a different place, you know. I get really lost, like, on stage, like, and if I was on halfway through a gig and you said to me what time it is, like, I'd freeze. I used to think I was a bit weird because of it. I thought, like, there's something a bit up with me, because when I'm performing, I'm getting way too deep into these songs. Like, I nearly pictured the story from the start to the finish, like, you know, like a storybook in my head, and it's like it's going. I'm visioning the whole story, and like I make weird faces, and not weird face, but I make expressions and things like that I don't know I'm doing. And when I don't really like watching videos back, I'd post them online or whatever if I think like it's not too noticeable or whatever. But you know, people tagging you or something, there'll be things where I should share them because they sound great, but I can just have that thing that, like, I didn't even realise my shoulder is going back when I'm singing a song. And yeah, I do get a bit lost, but supposedly a lot of people do. I didn't know. I never noticed it before with people. I noticed Damo Dempsey's a little bit like that when you watch him.
Yeah, he is,
I haven't really noticed much with performers like that will play with a band, you know, like singers just with a mic in their hand. And maybe some people do get deep into it, but for me, it's like I lose my mind, and it's that thing of going through the story from the start to the finish.
The reason why I brought it up is my daughter, she's 10, and she's joined a choir recently, but she's got into songwriting. Yeah. So she'll go out into the garden pod and she'll be out there, and you can see her writing, but she'd nearly be doing actions while she's writing, or you can see she's looking through, and when she's coming in then and explaining the story to us, it would be like the movie's playing in her head while she's telling us.
Yeah,
and
that's
it just
brilliant,
copped into my head, like the process. That wouldn't have been a process that I would have ever known, you know. And what I feel from it is, you're mentioning being on stage, and you know, going into another place, which I feel like if I'm looking at her at 10 years of age and the energy that gets zapped out of you just to get those words down must be tough on you to get through a whole set of it, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the thing is depending on what your song, like if you were writing real happy songs and upbeat songs all the time, like you'd be coming off stage all the time buzzing, you know, because it's a deadly buzz. Like we done certain shows recently that we kept the set upbeat for them, you know, and you come off like in a proper buzz, like, but we have songs like It's Okay and Mother that I mentioned. And sometimes at the end of that set, I will, like when I'm finished on the set, I come off drained, like emotionally drained. I'm physically drained. I feel like people are coming up to you and saying that was deadly or that was good or that was shy if they didn't like, you know. But they're coming up and saying stuff. Then your mind is just like I can't even think because I'm at to go. It's like going through a little war on the stage. So you can choose that yourself. But I love that style of writing. I love the realistic storytelling, you know. And I think it's where you can hear my voice best. You can hear the honesty most, and you can hear the lyrics best. You know. I think when you have an upbeat song, like I have a full band who are fantastic musicians, but when we go out, like you will hear the lyrics, but it's more the head movement thing that you're going to have a buzz with sooner than going in deep what I'm saying, you know.
You mentioned Mother, so it touches on I suppose a difficult subject of domestic violence. Where did you draw the inspiration for writing that song, and who did you want to hit home with, like in terms of listeners with that one?
Yeah, Mother was a strange one because a lot of people do ask me, like, what's that song about? Is that about your own marriage, about someone that you know? If I'm honest, I never really tell anyone what it's actually, not actually about. I never go too deep what it's about into the certain parts, because a song can be about 5 people and one line, and it can be about this person, one line, it can be about that.
Get you.
The original inspiration I got from, I remember being in a house, I was in a bedroom and I seen there was a newspaper article for about a young girl in Dublin who I think a partner beat her at the time, and he was arrested and locked up and things like that for it. And for some reason I had this a weird vision of a kid putting a pillow over his head and closing his ears off, and I sat there and wrote the song within about, probably 15-20 minutes or something like that. And it just came, and I wrote about like certain parts of it, about certain people and the certain lines in it that some people like know, the certain lines about it that was directly about that lady, you know. Yeah. But I never really taught the audience who I wanted to hear. I never really done it to think, jeez, I'm going to get loads of people out of this, I'm going to hit. The purpose of it was that who else is writing about this, you know? And who else is putting it? I went around to so many refuge centres around the country and done performance of it, which was one of the hardest things I've ever done, because you're performing to people who's had to go through the experience.
Really feeling it.
The song is not exactly saying, look, it's all going to be okay. It's a song going through story to story, you know. So that was difficult, like, but an amazing experience. One of the best experiences I had of doing stuff outside of gigs and that, you know. And I still don't know who I would like to capture it. It's not that I ever wanted to. I just wanted to show that this is happening. And people are listening to this song and thinking, jeez, there's the young fella in Dublin talking about that, you know. So let's raise a bit more awareness about it, you know. And
kind of shines a light on the what the kids in those households, like you said, when you read it, you envisaged, you know, a child not wanting to hear what was going on downstairs or whatever.
And it was so back years ago. It's so common for that. Like, then, but the problem is it's still common, you know, when you see it all the time. You see whether it's on the news or whether you see it, you hear it. Like I've done so many gigs where people have come up to me and I love playing that song. For some reason, it's one of my favourites. But when I play that song, people come up to you near the end and they'd say, look, I remember a young lady came up. I won't say where or when, but a young lady came up to me and she said, like, I have a bar in order and things like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, they're still going through this, you know. But one of the strange things about that was when I wrote that song, I thought to myself, like, I'm at the hitting home with this song, like in terms of what I wrote about. And then I went to these refuge centres and I literally touched the surface in Mother in comparison to what's happening around
what's
the country
really
today.
happening,
like just mental torture. There's crazy stuff happening, you know. And for me, I think it's mad that it is still happening. I think laws should be stricter on it. I think there should be more times and that. That's probably another. I don't really get political, but I think in terms of what it is, like, I think it's a massive issue, you know, across the country today. And I think anyone that does have the courage to go up and speak out about it are diamonds, you know.
they're starting to highlight a bit more. Even I think there's a show on Netflix or a film on Netflix about it as well. So
it's great. I've seen loads of things like I know there's things about like the likings of there's what are they like advertisements through charities and that. There's a great organisation in Dublin called Eveness that I worked with years ago and worked closely with them with this song. You know, we've done a couple of campaigns and like there is great things happening with it, but whether there's enough, I don't know about that. You know?
Yeah. No, well done for obviously raising awareness around it. Very brave. And you have the likes of that song, and you know the haunting song of even Follow Your Soul, and I listen to that in the car, like, and I just get lost in it, and thinking about putting those down as on a page from song 1, song 2. How many songs get lost that don't make it onto the album, and how hard is that not to put them onto the album?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because like a lot of the time when you're writing songs, you'll write like I write a good bit. Like I can. Thankfully, I'm in a position where my head is not blocked at the minute. So I could keep writing. I could write something about this after, or I'm good with that. But I never do the album fillers. I try not to. Like, so a lot of the time where like you'll hear an album, you'll have 2 favorite songs, and then there's usually 1 or 2 songs that you can tell that they're put in to make it an album, because you need 8 songs or 7 songs to have an album. If I have one of them songs that I write, I'll leave it for a week or 2, and if I feel like it's just an album filler, I won't ever play it in front of anybody. I try to write every song with a big chorus, a big enough chorus. You'll notice that there's kind of not a trend, but a lot of my songs are similar in ways that usually there's like a deep verse, and then there's usually a lifting chorus. Follow Your Soul, like the version of Follow Your Soul that's out, was very dated. Like that was one of the first songs I recorded, but one of the first songs I ever wrote, actually, when I talked about my neighbour who had the drug addiction issues. That was about himself. And with the likings of those songs, like you kind of get a feeling when you write a song. And I can give a quick example. Like I was told to write an EP after it was October last year. I was in a position where I was writing an EP, and I wanted to write like loads of songs, like, and pick 4 of the best ones out. And I wrote 14 or 15 songs for it, like 14 or 15 different tunes, and they were good. Like they were good to, like, you'd listen to them, like, but they weren't like, oh geez, that's catchy or whatever. They didn't really mean a lot to me, or they didn't mean things, and I was forced, not forced, but I was under time to get it done. So I wrote them under time frame. A few days later, I never forget this, I was going to a camping trip, and I woke up the morning and we were a bit late for the camping trip actually. And I had this line, was it I was broken, in my head, and was it I was hopeless. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I was in a position where I was stressed and I was going through a bit of a rough old time with different things going on in my life. And that was a song called It's Okay, which came to me within about 10 minutes. And I scrapped the whole EP. I said, I'm not doing an EP. This is the song that I think is the powerful one, And I took the idea of an EP out of the way. I took the pressure on myself and I released It's Okay. And with that then, with the It's Okay song, I got a good response. And again, something that means something to people. And my idea to write songs is always I'm trying to write stuff as well where a lot of people are afraid of the industry. They're afraid of, like, we won't go on the radio with that, or we won't go on with this. I don't care about all that stuff, and not in an ego-y way, or a wanna-be bad boy way, or any of that shit. It's more, I don't write music to impress radios or do that. If they play it, I'm delighted and I'm very appreciative of it. But if they don't, I wrote the songs for the people that it matters to.
Organic substance, isn't it? Like, that's
it's reality.
It's kind of back to your roots, what you mentioned at the start, like where. Yeah, well, you didn't say. I kind of said the mainstream wasn't particularly, like, the Walkman wasn't particularly, something that you did all the time. It was more having the instrument and singing what you felt like.
Exactly, what I mean?
And then you had the song Too Hard on Myself. So there's a lot of what would you say, self-reflection and that, and self-doubt and that as well. So I presume that song was about your own.
Too Hard on Myself was we were in lockdown, and I remember when I was during lockdown, everyone was getting these opportunities to do like live shows and with certain venues and things like that. And I was thinking to myself, I was feeling a bit sorry for myself, sitting around moping about it, thinking, not watching what other people are doing, but more in a way like I'm not doing that. Like, what am I meant to do now? Like, COVID's at the coming, it's at the hitting us, and I'm actually nothing, I'm meant to be trying so hard. Then one day I just kind of thought to myself, like, stop acting, stop feeling sorry for yourself.
We all had that moment, I think, during COVID.
So I had certain lines and like if words that they mean something to me in certain ways, but like the pre-chorus, like if these tears could build a perfect world, then I'd cry and all that, you know. And you're trying to show people that like, look, I can sit around moping and feel sorry for myself, but it's not going to do anything for me. Just keep going and keep soldiering on. And I actually really enjoyed making that song. I liked the little buzz off. We threw loads of harmonies on again, and that was an enjoyable song to make. And we had a great response on Too Hard on Myself because it was kind of, there was no real courses in it. It was the perfect length for radio. We got a good bit of radio play on it as well, which was great.
Any link to It's Okay? Any link to that song?
Not really. It's Okay. It was more about a direct experience where it was like over a couple of weeks where my head was just messed, you know. I felt like I was going into... I'm a very, like, as you've probably seen before we started, but I'm a bit of a messer and I'm a buzzer and I'm always smiling and having a crack. And there's not many people, I think, could say they ever see me in a bad mood. Like that's not trying to hide smiles or put a mask on. I'm a happy person. Like I don't take life too serious. I take music serious, but life and all that, I'm happy with everything. I don't worry much or whatever. But I found when I was going to bed then, It's Okay, I found like my head was a bit like, I'm not in there smiling, but I just feel a bit lost. And I think my personal circumstances changed, like with my personal life and that, and like changes that worked out for the better for me, you know, and changes I'm very happy with now. But I was a little bit lost, and I didn't realise how lost I was until I looked back on it, if that makes sense, you know. I looked back, I remember someone explaining like firefighting, like you don't realise how big the fire is until you put it out. And for me, it was when I thought I was grand most of the time. Then I noticed that I was going to bed and it's just a bit like you're fed up, you're sitting on social media, you're watching shit on the phone and all that kind of stuff. And then when I done the song, and then when I felt great and started feeling great outside of the song, like I started feeling good in myself, my confidence was coming back and feeling good, and I was meeting good people and surrounded by actual good people, authentic people that have your back, you know. Then I started realising, I was actually in a mad place. Like this time last year, I was sitting there and my head was messed. I was going in and I was telling everyone I was grand. And I know when I was going out, I wasn't crying, but I wasn't far off. I was saying, where am I going? What am I doing? And that's where It's Okay came from. But Too Hard on Myself was more about like, stop feeling sorry for myself. Like it might be too hard on myself again, you know. But it was more a way to try and give myself a little kick that it's you're feeling sorry for yourself sitting around. It's okay was more kind of like, nearly felt like a hug to myself to say, look, you're going through a bit of a rough patch a few weeks ago. And again, with that song, going back to the question previously, you said about like what I never wrote a song in my life, and I mean this, I never wrote a song in my life to say I'm going to hit the mental health mark, I'm going to hit the domestic violence mark. It was never anything like that. Like a fella joked with me one time and he says to me, someone's had to been killed in Dublin, have you got a new song coming out? You know, just joking. And I've never done it for personal gain. I actually, with It's Okay, we skipped one day. There was a day that we could have released it on, and I think it was mental health. There was some day there was an important time that was on, and I didn't. I did it solely.
It would have been good for the day, kind of thing. But
would have been good for the day, but I did it to avoid the thought that he's only doing it just to get on a bar. I have no interest in that kind of stuff, you know. And to be fair, like there's nobody going to sit here and say I do have an interest in it.
Yeah,
but I think the figures and the dates and things like that will always be there to show that you never done it for any person.
Yeah, exactly.
And I never really done anything with many charities or anything like that. I released a song for people that listen to my music to let them know that, look, I felt a bit poxy a few months ago. If you're feeling like this, it's all right. You're going to get through it, and I'm grand now, kind of. You know,
sure, all songs are a story about something.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's hidden messages and everything. You know, there's a lot of hidden. And I say about like I don't really tell people exactly what songs about. I'll tell you that like I wrote a song about my neighbour, but there's lines in Follow Your Soul that you'll never understand, and I'd never tell people, not in a way that I'm trying to be private about it, but I'd love you to have your own experience with it. Because once someone tells you what a song's about, you have an idea that it's about one thing. It's lost then, you know, and it doesn't mean as much to you.
Just saturate whatever you can for yourself and just take from it what you can. But like at the minute, like you're in the pot, like you're cooking, you know, and you know things are happening, and you might not realise it, and it might just be happening at 90 miles an hour for you. But how important is it for the up and coming buskers that are on Grafton Street and Henry Street right now to realise that it doesn't just happen overnight? Like,
I think I think with something that I've realised big time is like this hard work thing, like working, putting my mind to it and putting effort into it. I said on a thing recently that like I used to think years ago when you watch footballers on the telly and you watch fighters or whatever it is, and they say like, how did you get there? And they're like, I worked hard. I used to think like they're just special, like they have something about them that like they just got lucky, and that's kind of their way of saying it, like that I worked hard and that's how I got here, you know. I used to think that was the case, that like they're different and I'm gonna have to keep peeling and peeling and peeling. But then I started putting my mind to it, like, and start thinking to myself, okay, well, I'm gonna focus on it. Every gig I'm doing, I want to build it. Everything I'm doing, I want to build. I want to bring more professionalism to it. I want to get a good team around me. I want to have like the band I have, like some of the top musicians in the country, like, and I think an important thing for people too, like, I'm not in a position where I can say I'm anywhere near the top or where I'd like to be, but I am in a position where I've been very, very fortunate to get certain opportunities like sports and travelling and things like that. And that is solely down to a little bit luck maybe at times as well, but it's solely down to working hard, man, and not giving up and not being afraid of the people that don't like your music, or not being afraid of the gigs that go bad, and not doing what, like, a lot of people that are starting off are looking for pathways. I get messages all the time. How did you get that support? How did you get this? How did you get that? I don't think I've ever asked anybody in the music industry once in my life how to get anything. And I never thought to myself that it's because I want to have my own pathway. But when I look at it now, I never wanted to follow someone else's footsteps, wherever it is. I might asking someone for advice. Look, I'm at the meeting this fella, he's offering me a management deal. What do you think of him, or whatever? Something like that. But I've never asked anyone, can I get your contacts, or have you got a contact for this person? And I get it all the time, and I understand it. Like, I get people that do it because they're probably saying, look, I've seen you're doing this show, is there any way I can get a contact to get on it? But I had to work hard to find that in the first place. Like, and I've realised from that hard work, that's how I got it. So that's all I knew. I didn't know that you can just message people, and I wouldn't do it anyway. I'd never message anyone looking for, so the way I can get this person's contact or whatever. It's fine if you do it, but just to let people know that are starting off, our young kids, like, create your own little path and keep doing it. There was a point where I was doing this, and the amount of times I've nearly given this up, like maybe 3-4 years ago, heard other people that were amazing singers. I heard people that were amazing writers and could never find my own worth, you know. I always thought, like, used to watch what other people were doing. That was not a big thing, but I used to sit around looking at, like, they're gigging at Electric Picnics this year, and I'm similar. I have a similar style, and I think I'm kind of close enough to their level. Why am I not doing Electric Picnic, you know? And I doubt myself for it. So a thing that I always say, like, I have a thing, like, it's like a horse with blinkers, you know? Never watch it. Most musicians, if I don't really know them and I'm on Instagram or whatever, I just usually mute an account, not in a disrespectful way in any way at all. Just no real, great that you're doing these gigs, but I've no real interest in that kind of world if I don't really know them or whatever, you know. The Irish music industry is very tight knit, and there's a lot of people that know each other and that, and there's a lot of, like, little circles and things like that. I've never been involved in one, I don't believe, you know. I've just always done my own thing.
Doing your own thing.
And I still am, and I still will, you know, and I'm very fortunate to have people that are around me years, you know, and they're good people that are, as I said at the start, they're willing to push you, you know. They're not people saying, like, we'll give them a go, and then a few days later they're more focused on their own projects or anything like that. They're people willing to push you. So the big thing, like, it's very cliche saying don't give up and all that, like, because there's certain kids that look at that and say, he's just saying that because he's doing a few gigs now. I nearly gave up so many times, and I just didn't then. I just said, I'm going to keep going and keep soldering. There's promoters I probably ruined my chances with when I was a kid because my sets were terrible. When I went out and supported people, I probably didn't perform right or perform good enough. Not ruined my chances, but they probably always look at me as, we seen him years ago. It's 2016 when he was starting off. And now you get some of the messaging you back and saying, look, we'd be interested in working on this now, you know, and that's the nice time to kind of say, well, I did. You could have had a bit of believe me back then, you know. But look, to be fair, it's a hard industry. It's very difficult. As I said, I'm in no position to say, like, I'm there or even close to it yet, in my opinion. But I would say one thing is that when you do put in the graft, the rewards do come. I've had some of the best experiences of my life, you know, in the last while. Yeah,
it's talking about getting a chance and stuff. You're at a little gig there the other week. A little band. What's that band called? Wolfe Tones. I think it is. Yeah. What was that experience like? I'm intrigued to know what the answer is to this one.
That was definitely the highlight of everything I've ever done. Everything worked in our favour for it. Like, we got a great slot at the time. We were on right before the Wolfe Tones. Every night was jammed. I've never played, the highest gig I've played to before that was 2,500 in the National Stadium, and after that, I've never done it. And we were told like that it's 12,000, and we were told it's 13,000. I was told the other night it's 14,000 each night.
Jeez.
So I thought maybe I'd be a bit worried about it, like going in, and I was very nervous beforehand. You know, I was nervous, thinking, right, I'm going like this is kind of into it. You get imposter syndrome sometimes, where you're a bit worried that you're not strong enough to do this kind of thing. I went to a great sound healing thing recently as well, which I think helped me in ways, and the little things I do for myself as well, swimming and things like that. That feel gives the old head, it puts in the right space. But it was the most surreal experience I've ever had in my life. I walked up onto a stage, I go from the backstage up, and you go into a backstage room firstly, and like this fridge is full of stuff for you. Like it's really professional, you know.
Yeah.
You go out onto stage, your name is in a big huge sign the size of a gaff, like and huge lights on you and things like that. And I've done the Olympia and all on Vicar Street, and I've done all those venues over the years, and they were amazing. Like there's some of my favourite venues, but that was a different ball game. Like it's a very there's not. I've never had the middle step. It's where I don't know what step it is, but I think it'd be great if there was a step beforehand to get you ready for that, because we went in and thankfully and luckily enough we blew it apart. Like we had an amazing time. We went out and full of confidence. I thought I was going to start panicking, like the hands be shaky or something like that, but we kind of planned it well. We had the lights dropped before we went out, so we couldn't see into the audience at the start. So we don't know where we put it, as the song is real deep and it's just a band playing. We had a Bower-on noise starting off the set, and I'd come out then after the lads and they're on stage, and so the lights were dropped, we couldn't see it, and we done it all intentionally so we had the best chance at it, and we go out and do that. And then this first song I done was a singing piece into a spoken word piece. And the reason I done that was because sometimes if you're nervous, your voice can wobble a little bit. And the note that I hit on this particular song, I can never do it because it's so high. I'll always nail it, so to speak. And it's too hard to be wobbly with. Yeah. So I done that intentionally, and then straight into a spoken word piece. So I can't panic or I can't go out key or anything like that. So we had a good plan going into it. And then it was straight into upbeat songs. We'll go into like a heavy beat and we'll just get the crowd going, you know. Yeah. And then at the end, we had a thing where we got the crowd, like we done an Olay thing at the end of the new single where we linked that in. And that's the first night they turned up the house lights on the whole audience. Like, so usually they'll turn up lights on the stage, like for you. So we were grand throughout, like where you still can't really see the audience, but you're starting to know its faces. Then they turned the house lights up on that, and I couldn't believe it. I thought to myself, I have to get off the stage as fast. I was terrified once I seen that. And then the second night was amazing. We were very tired, man. We rehearsed hard for them shows, you know. Yeah. Very tired on the second night, and we went out. We had a great time again. Like, and the promoter was happy with it as well, which was great. He was delighted. Like he seemed to enjoy it because he's seen us properly, you know. He's seen
what you can do.
We had this little thing, like there were speakers out in front of the stage. I asked them the first night, I said, could I jump on the speaker and put a flag in the air or something like that? And they were like, you can't do that for security. Or you can't do that. So the second night I says to a different fella, you know, I says, do you reckon there'll be a problem if I stood in that? And he's like, there's two security standing there, like, so you can't really do it. Like, and if anything happens, like, you're not insured or anything like that, you wouldn't be if you went out and done it. And the third night I said to the photographer I says, wherever you do at the end of the song, how are you, man?
Ready?
Follow me onto the oak. I said, follow me out on the speaker. I want to get a photo standing off the stage on a speaker in front of the crowd with the lights on. And we done it and it worked perfect. I stood down on the speaker, and that's when I got the wobbly legs. I said, imagine I fell here. I my bleeding down.
Wolfe Tones gig cancelled.
I have to say, them lads, the Wolfe Tones, I know certain times they can get bad press and things like that. To us, they were nothing more than brilliant. They were great. Was very friendly, and to be given that opportunity, like to be fair, any band in Ireland could have gotten that opportunity. And
they're legends.
To get an opportunity like that, I'm very, very grateful for it. And to be again back to the band themselves, they were unbelievable, you know. And the funny thing is they're in their late 70s, I think early 80s, and every show we'd come off stage and we're all drained, you know. Yeah. You walk past their dressing room, they're fresh as daisies at the end of it. You know what I'm saying? I wonder what the
different generation is.
Absolutely, yeah. They're in some nick. They're great lads. So we met them at the end of the shows, and very, very to give you your time to talk to you, and had great conversations with them. And what a rise it's been for them as well. Like they're having a massive rise in the last couple of years. They've always been amazing, but like the Tree Arena, and now they've just announced Park in Limerick. I think it is Thomond Park or something like that. So I'm delighted for them.
Are they really going to give it up?
Do you know what? The funny thing was, like, and I only seen it at the last time. I remember saying backstage to someone about the shows. I says the Wolfe Tones last shows, and I was told until I seen it on the last day, like there was talks of retirement. The last day I seen something in the paper, But there was no actual talk from the Wolfe Tones to say they were calling them shows the last shows. It was more the media that said it was their finale because they didn't do the Tree Arena, I don't think, before. Yeah. So a lot of it came from the media where it was the last shows, you know. So to be fair to them, like, I think if they can keep rising, if they can do that Thomond Park and then get into Croker the following year, why not keep going? You know?
Why
keep
wouldn't
going.
And it's not like they needed to slip a brown envelope to the media to do that either.
Not at all. And to be fair to the lads, like, it's great. They bring all their family out, and like, you can see there's little, maybe it's the grandkids or nieces and nephews, and you can see they're all enjoying it, you know. Like, and I know, like, there's a lot. I've seen with the announcement of the show, like, people will be writing like, "Oh, when is the last show?" Come here, if you're a musician and the buzz you get on the stage, until you understand that, you will go as long as you can. Like, it's very addictive, you know. And I think I'd love to see them in Croke Park, you know. I think it'd be iconic.
Might be there yourself then as well.
Yeah, maybe so. I tell you, I do the sport on a handstand. I play the guitar on a handstand.
The Tree Arena would be your middle ground then. You'd know what your middle ground is then.
You didn't slow down then after it either. You were straight to New York, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get much of a break. We went off to New York, done 4 nights for Step 5. We played 4 nights over there, and that was surreal as well. It's been a mad experience. Very hard to, like, I only got back on Tuesday, and when I came back from New York, I still haven't really thought about everything. I haven't had time. I came back from New York on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. I'd done the Ruby sessions at 7 o'clock that night.
Jeez.
And again, it's that thing, like, the lads to be slagging me and they would say to me, well, you need to take a break. You're going to do... And I said, when I sell out the Olympia, I'll take a break. You know, and have a celebration after that. And,
it's good attitude.
But in terms of the work, like, the sleep and all, I'll catch up on that, and I'll get this weekend, I'll get a bit of a relaxer. But it's been a mad experience. When we were over in New York, where at the beginning, like, we had a fella that was driving us around. He let us stay in this house that was like a mansion, you know, and we're going into Manhattan every day and playing gigs, and there's people coming to the gigs and that, and it's very surreal, you know. And for me, like, a lot of people are looking at these shows like their own shows when they go to the way bands will usually work with a label and a management company is, right, we came to New York and we done that gig, next year we're gonna do a bit of a bigger gig next. For me, I don't look at it like that. I'm looking at this that could be my last time playing the Tree Arena and New York. And when I have kids in 10 years' time, or if I have kids, or whether it's kids or a dog, I'm gonna be able to tell them, show them a picture and say, do you know what, I was in New York a few years ago, and we had a fella who would bring us around. We stayed in this lovely house, and we just laughed all week. The Tree Arena, you'll have a kid maybe that's going to a concert there, and you can say, I actually played in that stage before you were born, like, and here's a picture to prove it or to show it to you. For me, that's the icing on the cake. That's more important.
Is it inspiration to get after it even more now? Having had this all, I know you're only back, you're only fresh off it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? It's so easy to get. It can be easy to get caught up on, like, because I can be sitting around, like, and we have, to be fair, we have loads of content. We have like a mini documentary from the Tree Arena that we've done behind the scenes, and we've put nothing out really off it. Anything we've put out has been the fast shots, the stuff we can get off the photographer quick. We have loads of stuff from it, but the other side of that is you can't. I can't sit around now for another month saying, "Oh, geez, I'm the fella that was playing the Tree Arena last month." You know, I'm thinking to myself, "What am I doing in January? I want to go to Europe. I want to start looking into. I'll move forward, you know." And that's something that's I work well with my head. Like, my head works good in that sense. Like, although I haven't really had much time to think about how surreal everything is, I'll leave it there for a minute and I'll think about it down the line. But I need to keep going now. Like, and
it's time for that.
I said I'll get a break the weekend. Like, but
we'll see.
I sent an email before we came here. Like, I'm sending an email off about a show. We're doing a show in London. Like, I'm constantly moving, trying to get it going. You know, and I think again, as I said, I will take a proper break when I get to the Olympia to sell that out, and that's when I'll probably take like a month where I can go over to Spain or go over and do something and have a buzz. Like, but until then, like, I'd never stop, you know.
What do you say? Take a break when you're dead?
Something like that,
yeah. I remember.
I have the same attitude.
Yeah, I remember someone saying before about, like, someone says, like, do you ever smile? And he's like, I'll smile when I'm rich, you know, that kind of thing. You know? But for me, like, this experience, and the other side of it is I hate the word if. I don't like using the word if because it's a doubt that it might not happen. But if it was the case we didn't get to them realms, we've had experience that not many people will ever get to say. Not that other people can't say it, but it's an amazing.
It's unreal.
People do say to me sometimes about, like, success. You only need that one song, like, and I'd just say, like, for what? Like I've had the best experience of my life. I know I can. I can put out a song and maybe it gets hits and you could start walking around like in wherever, you know, cardigans and all that, you know, and thinking you're this or that, like in that whole fame side. But for me, I've made it in my own head, like in terms of like I'm far from bragging. I'm the complete. Anyone that knows me would vouch for me with that. But the experiences I've had have been way more than I could ever dream of.
I actually had bragging rights last week. I got held up at the Tree Arena. Coming through, and I seen people coming out in the Irish jerseys now, or going in the Irish jersey. I was on the phone to the missus, and she was like, "What's keeping you?" Like, I was over the south side, like, and she was, I was like, "You know that bollocks that we have on next week?" I said, "He's in the Tree Arena tonight, and my dinner is going cold." Like, you know what I mean? And she was like, "You're joking? He's in the Tree Arena." I was like, "Yeah, he's in the Tree Arena." Yeah.
You know what? Sometimes you get people that are you'd get people that would be like, for example, the photographer Dave, who we work closely with, like, you know. And he'd be saying like the missus that they heard in your song in the car on the radio or something like that, you know. And he's like, he just be winding her up, taking the piss a little bit out of it, you know. But it's great, man. Do you know what the big thing about all of this is? I'm actually really enjoying it. Like sometimes things like that, like you can see with bands, and I've seen it supporting certain bands over the years. It becomes a job, like, and it's very businessy and all that. Yeah, I'm miles away from that stage where I'm actually having great fun. Like we're shouting at each other on stage in Tree Arena. We're all nervous beforehand. Then we go up and we're shouting. It's easy, isn't it? You know, just having a buzz, and no one can really, not really notice. But we're having fun with it. You know,
that's good.
When I first started making music, I was having fun with it, and now I'm doing it again and having a great buzz. And again, to go over to the States and all and play little gigs, it's amazing. You know,
brilliant.
If that ever stops, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. If you lose that kind of, once it gets businessy, man, that's when the world is dodgy, you know. But
and well, what's next? What's in the immediate future for you?
The immediate is I have a show coming up in December, the 14th December, doing the Academy Green Room. I think we're a show away from the Olympia then, and once we sell that out, you know. And then after that, we're doing an Irish tour, and we haven't put it out yet, but we are doing an Irish tour. We're doing London as well in November. But just keep going. I have songs ready. We have a new song coming out in a couple of weeks. A song recorded over in London called Over You. I think it's probably one of the strongest songs I've ever wrote. It's very powerful. It has a great message in it as well. And then into 2025, and I want to do festivals and all next year. Get to Europe, do a few little small things in Europe, start off over there and have a buzz. And just keep enjoying it. Maybe so. Do you know what? Stranger things have happened, man. I could never say I'd play in the Tree Arena. Like,
I believe it.
It's a crazy thing. Like, you said to me last year, like, and strangers, last year I said we're doing a documentary as well outside of it. The last 3 years, I said to a fella in February, this year I said, we're driving by the Tree Arena, and we were at the Miriam's, I think it was Miriam's show. We done a show on RTE, we done an interview. It wasn't Miriam, it was an interview on RTE, and we're driving past the Tree Arena, past the bridge, and I said to him, I'm going to play this place. I said, I'll play it in the next year or so. I said, whether it's maybe a charity gig or a support or something like that. And I believed it. I knew I had a feeling I would, but 2 years ago, if you said the Tree Arena, you'll play the Tree Arena, I'd say, oh man, come on. Maybe a few years down the line, but strange things happen in this world, and again, I'll keep pushing to get them little magic moments, you know.
Yeah, fair play to you. And look, I know myself and Keith, like we tried to add a bit of music to the podcast, and we set up a little playlist as well for every season, and we ask each guest to add one song onto the playlist before they go. And myself and Keith, we fairly interested to see what your song choice would be for the final episode of season 4.
Yeah, there's a fantastic song actually. A song I was in New York the week, and we done a show, and there was a guy that was playing the show, and his name is Niall Connolly, and he has this song called 1916 Memorial for James Connolly, and I think it's the best Irish song I've ever heard written in my life. I think it's deep, it's just so simple. Glenn Hansett's doing backing vocals on it as well. I think they're friends, you know. Well, I met Niall and he played the song, and I sat back in the chair, and I don't really get it with music because I write songs, and I think to myself, I know what way they wrote or thing. I was honestly gobsmacked. It was unbelievable, like, and one of the best songs I've heard in a long, long time. So I'd love to add that on.
Wow.
I look forward to hearing that.
Look forward to that, yeah. Gentleman.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, delighted to have you.
Best of luck with the next season as well.
We'll try our best, and I think it was probably one of the best ways to close out this one, I think.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, lads. Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers, Ciarán.
When you go back, hold your head high and sing your song out proud, that it might echo 100 years from now, and
Right, Keith, that's just about it for season 4. Episode 10 is done. The season is done, and I don't think it could have ended any better.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Seems like every season we're just progressing and getting, more and more guests in, with a variety of different backgrounds, which is it's keeping us interested, and hopefully it's keeping our listeners interested. So, no, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and no better way to close out the season with a couple of nominations from the Irish Pod Awards. We're up for Best Business Podcast and Best Hosting Duo. So really exciting, something that's really highlighted the hard work and efforts that we've put in since January, and can't wait to share the limelight with other great podcasters in January when the awards are on.
No, it will. It'll be very surreal to be there in the room with all of them. But obviously, we're doing something right, and we're going the right direction. As you said, it's been a great year, and the recognition from these things is great. And we've got a couple of trips, a couple of our kind of our own segment in the RDS trade show, which is something that we've never done before, and that now I haven't done it, we'd be definitely open to doing it again. Big thanks to Robus for allowing us to use this space for our podcast. I know we've been inundated with messages, congratulating us for being nominated, and what a good space that we have. So we really do appreciate that. So
and I just want to say it's been great sharing the studio with yourself.
Yeah.
It's been something that has been a whirlwind for me, to be able to, share a podcast, share a studio, and share stories with you and us being cousins. I think it's great for us as a family, and to be able to invite other people from all different backgrounds, like you mentioned, into that atmosphere that we try to create for them is great, and hopefully we can continue to create the atmosphere that we've provided for all the guests that we've had on this season and previous seasons for many seasons to come. Another one is Tony Skilbeck. I haven't given him enough praise on the podcast for providing us with an amazing podcast intro, theme song for this season, and we'll continue to use it for following seasons and for product of the week as well. He's been amazing, so big shout out to Tony Skilbeck.
We owe him a few points.
Definitely owe him a few points. Get him over to Ireland and take him out and really show him a good time.
Show him the town.
But if we have missed anybody, we just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time out of your week to hear what myself and Key have to share and what our guests have to share. And if you liked what you heard, make sure you head over to wherever you get your podcast, give our podcast a follow, and you'll be notified when the next season drops.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Have a good one. Take it easy.